Triple Shot Mindset.
What are your thoughts on toxic masculinity? Is that such a thing?
Whoa, what a loaded question.
Is it?
I think, in my humble opinion, I'm ho.
Okay.
It's always abbreviated
Got it.
on the web.
Well, I'm ho doesn't sound like
I'm ho.
a pure thing to say.
I don't care.
All right.
Job finished.
No, job not finished.
So that's an inside joke about Kobe Bryant. You can go look that up so you can be part of the
Rip.
inside. Yeah. I think anything can be toxic. Anything. Even Advil, ibuprofen, running, sleep, alcohol, behaviors, even kindness and generosity. Anything can be toxic when it's in too concentrated or high of a measure, or it's being used without the proper intention. There's this indigenous concept of something being medicine in a certain dose and poison if the dose goes too high. And even a good thing or a positive thing can be poison if the dose goes too high. So I think toxic masculinity, absolutely it exists when there's too much intensity, too much fervor, and not enough intentionality. Like, why am I behaving this way? What are the roots of these words that I'm spewing, or these thoughts that I'm having, or these emotions that I'm feeling? If you don't think about it and you just go, it can create destruction. It can turn to poison. I think toxic femininity is also a thing. I don't know if it's being as much of a buzzword right now, but I absolutely believe that toxic masculinity exists.
Right. Are you talking about Andrew Tate?
I think he could be an example of it, yes.
I don't agree with him 100%. But I think there is a little bit of truth to what he says. I mean, there's truth in everything. You can't just throw out the baby with the bathwater. And yes, I agree with everything you said. And I think growing up, when I saw men in my family or friends or fathers of friends talking about what they would like to do with women or how they treat their wives and what they expect out of them, and all this stuff they do behind their backs, I really thought that was toxic.
As a kid, you thought so?
Yeah.
How? Why?
Because my brother and I, we grew up with a single mom. And after my parents got divorced, and we saw the evidence that was left behind by my father. And so when I saw the look on my mom's face when she found out that she's being, cheated on, to me, I was ashamed to be a man for a while. And for men to be so driven by just one need. I do know that in nature, men's job is to inseminate.
Yeah.
Right? Male species of all sorts, they just have to inseminate. But I think as human beings who are there to protect each other and nurture and all that, I think as a man, you have to protect your wife, your mom, your sisters, your girlfriends, and you have to give them the respect they deserve. So when you see something like that happen in front of your eyes as a kid, 13, 14 years old, you kind of make it your mission to be the opposite of what you just witnessed.
What did your uncles, fathers, cousins, who did you say? The whole male hierarchy?
Well, when my parents got a divorce, it was because my dad had a girlfriend on the side. And the evidence we found out, we saw firsthand.
You and Kevin saw?
And mom in the car, in the back seat. So when you see things like that, it kind of changes you. So when you see your cousins, your uncles, your friends, your relatives, your neighbors, your high school friends talk about it as if it's a badge of honor.
Like cheating or anything?
Cheating, playing with women's emotions and being after one thing only, it kind of disgusts you to know that the end result could be someone like my mom being hurt for the rest of her life.
Which then hurts men too, because your mom had 2 sons who suffered as a result of her suffering.
Yeah.
So it's not like women are the only victims of that.
Oh, no, it affects everyone. But people like Andrew Tate who talk about men, I know he doesn't talk about cheating and all that stuff, but I think a lot of men over the past 20 years have been subjected to being belittled on the media. If you watch shows like Everybody Loves Raymond or this and that, the woman has now taken the front seat. They take the man character and they paint him as someone who's dumb, who has to ask for permission from the wife, who has to check everything against his wife and hide things. Even if he wants to have a Kit Kat in the TV series, he has to hide it in his basement and just go there and secretly eat it. So to me, that kind of portrayal of a family, it's wrong because everyone has a role in the family. Of course, women have equal rights. It's not about that. But I think a masculine energy and a feminine energy would definitely mesh together much better than 2 masculine energies or vice versa. If the poles shift into different directions, then there's going to be issues with the kids growing up seeing that kind of a energy. So I do think that to some extent those roles have to be preserved. But I think the fact that men are given carte blanche to run around and do whatever they want.
What does that mean? Sorry.
Carte blanche?
Yeah.
Carte blanche. Given freedom without any
Consequence. Got it.
I think that's wrong.
And is it still like that in real life? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, do men really get away with it?
Yeah.
They do?
All the time.
And
as long as he provides, he can do whatever he wants.
Whoa.
And I don't want to dig into my family, uncles and aunts and family friends too much.
You don't? Why not?
I think I've said too much.
Okay, that's fair.
But a family friend and multiple family friends who are, the man's probably in his 70s, the woman's in his late 60s. For decades, they've been having this secret arrangement where he can fly off on a quote-unquote business trip and do whatever he wants as long as he provides a home, a Mercedes, a couple $1,000s a month in allowance, which is another show. They can get away with it. I have my dad's friends who sleep with their nannies, with house cleaners, and the wife have told him it's okay, you can do it because I no longer want to sleep with you, but you can do whatever you want. And the 23-year-old son sees all that.
Yeah.
And he's like, wow, well, it's okay for me to be promiscuous, to sleep with my nanny without any consequences of this family dynamic falling apart. So I've seen these things happen, and they still do. And the more, all right, a lot of guys, married or not, or engaged, they go to Vegas.
Get their last rocks off.
And to me, that's so weird.
You mean like for their bachelor party?
Yeah, that's so weird because they have permission from someone that they want to commit to for the rest of their life the next day to go to Vegas and sleep with women.
There's a name for that. Is it like the golden ticket or the free pass or the hall pass?
Hall pass.
Hall pass. Oh my goodness. I was just hearing about this from a friend the other day. Like, his friend had their hall pass. So they were, I don't know if they were sleeping with other people, but it was like, do whatever you feel is right. Get it out of your system. And to me, it's so weird. Like, when I think of partnership, and I'm thinking of all couples, whether they're heterosexual, male, female, or not, anything on the spectrum, whoever your partner is, male or female, if they're your partner, aren't they your friend a little bit? Like
A lot.
I'm thinking, what's the point of a partnership if they're just your pet? The vibes I always get from Andrew Tate is that like, this is my pet. So the woman, she's not a human, but she's certainly not a male equivalent. Like, I'll treat her like my pet. I'll feed her, dress her, take her to the vet. And, you know, she'll have her little toys.
And drive you around in his Bugatti.
Yeah, show you off like a very, like one of those cat fancy things. But you're not an equal, you're not a friend. So I'm wondering, what is the allure in a partnership like that? And what if you really do need your hall pass to go get your last rocks off, why are you committing then? Well, I mean, and why? Who's forcing you to?
If you I'm people are gonna call me a pussy. They're gonna call me a whatever they want to call me. But when I stand with my friends, by the way, they're gonna unfriend me. But when I'm playing basketball with them, when I'm going to the gym with them, when I'm having beer with them or watching a game with them, they're all unhappy. They're all looking to get out of that marriage whatever way they can.
Like even mentally, right?
Yeah. And they're all talking about the women they would like to have sex with. And when it's time to go home, they all used to say, man, I got to go back to that bitch again. And I was the only one. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to call my wife a bitch because I respect her. I'm friends with her. Like, why would I call her that? And if it came to a day that I had that much animosity, I would just break it off. But a lot of men, they like the security of having someone there to take care of them, love them, have sex with them every once in a while. And they would come out the house and they would just bag on them. And I thought that was really weird.
Yeah. So to me, that means they didn't want to commit in the first place. So, because no one's forcing men to commit that I know of, except maybe the woman herself or the partner. But then why are you with a person who wants commitment if you know that you don't?
Yeah.
There's already, so all of this resentment's getting placed on the women, like, oh, she made me commit, that bitch, like she forced me, she was going to leave me if I didn't. So let her leave you. Am I missing something here, Major?
I think there's a lot of insecurities on both sides.
Okay.
Women and men both want to get hitched before it's too late, before their prime time passes. So one of the things I've learned by hanging out with these guys, friends of family members, non-family members, is that they all say they got forced into marriage. And it's their need. Obviously, they wanted to belong to something, and they want to have the cake and eat it too. And eventually they got married for the sake of being married and doing the right thing. But a lot of them are bitter. I heard 74% of Orange Countyans are divorced.
That tracks.
74. 3 out of 4 people are divorced.
So maybe we're outgrowing the idea of marriage from the way our parents used to think of it. Like it's what you have to do to create a family. I think in our parents' day, nothing is more important than having a family. Nothing. Today, I'm not sure that people believe that. And if they do believe it, you see these people who co-parent, either as divorcees or as people who like conceive a baby together as friends and then co-parent separately. So now it seems like you don't necessarily have to be married to have a family. So I want to know what's pressuring people into domestic slavery and what is making men like Andrew Tate, for instance, feel like women are such a disrespectful, like powerful force. Like, why are women threatening men? Have men, like, where's the power gap? What's the problem?
So when I listen to Andrew, the Tatester.
Yeah. And we'd love to have you on our show, by the way, if you're listening.
Yeah.
To answer these same questions.
A lot of women who are under 25, they talk about promiscuity like it's a badge of honor. It's the same things that we blame men for Now women are saying, well, if he can do it, I can do it too. And now that's a badge of honor for them. And I talk about having a relationship as in you chose me and I choose you, and we choose to be committed to each other. And that act of physical intimacy is just one part of it. But then there's emotional, there's mental, there's all these other things. But when I hear these women talk about body counts of 100 people, oh, I'm 24 years old, I've slept with 100 people so far, and men are stupid, and men, we don't need men because we have dildos and we have this and that. No, seriously, they talk about that stuff.
Yeah, I get it.
And to me, it's like, well, you need men and women. Like if men sat around and talked like that, we don't need women. Like in the 1950s and 60s, we don't need women. We got ourselves. Like women can go scrub toilets. Like now the things have reversed. I think
that's a natural pendulum swing.
It has to be in the middle somewhere.
Of course.
And so one thing I heard which was very interesting was marriage licenses have to be renewable.
I love that idea.
Right?
Yeah.
Every year you assess where you are and you vote on it. Honey, out of 1 to 10, how likely do you want to be married to me now for another year? If anything under 7 or 8, then you just file for divorce.
Or you just don't sign. Like maybe both people have to sign the renewal, and
to me that would be the perfect way. So Andrew Tate, to an extent, he's right. I don't think women bashing men or vice versa is the right way of going about doing things. But I think there has to be a medium that men and women find love and companionship and trust and vulnerability in a closed two-person relationship. And I think that can be beautiful. And it could nurture kids who are happy and healthy and grow up to be great adults. But if at any time that sanctity starts to fall apart, that trust, that love and respect, then people have to divorce.
So Andrew Tate is right about what exactly? Men, I think, have to have a little bit of male energy. Not too much to be toxic, but a little bit of male energy is needed. Women, a little bit of female energy is needed. Women are not just sex objects. Men are not just good for building IKEA bookshelves, right? We have to give props back to people for being who they are and what they're best at. And if women are better nurturers, not necessarily in the house, but like maybe they can create schools, they can create lines of products or nutritional supplements that nurtures people. I don't know. Then we should let them do it. And not like say, well, she's an alpha woman or he's an alpha male or he's a beta. Like all this alpha beta stuff is like just made up to categorize people into things that they shouldn't be categorized into. You just have douchebags. Yeah, we have douchebags in every male, female, douchebags. So then he is saying, if I'm understanding correctly, big picture, and maybe this is why men love Andrew Tate. I don't know that women love him necessarily. I haven't seen like a female Andrew Tate fan club.
Andrea Tate.
Maybe I'm looking in the wrong place. Andrea Tate. But they like the idea that he is saying it's okay to be a man. Mm-hmm. Because it sounds like men feel now that they're not needed, mm-hmm. that they are unintelligent, because you mentioned that women say men are stupid, mm-hmm. like those young, promiscuous 24-year-olds. So Andrew Tate, in some kind of interesting way, is helping validate men. He's helping say, like, it's okay to have masculine energy. Maybe he takes it many shades too far in his extremist approach, but the overall message is saying, like, it's okay to be proud of being a man and have masculinity. Is that his...
That's his thing.
His thing.
Which is fine. I mean, for the most part, it's okay to be a man, obviously, and it's okay to be a woman. But if you date some of these women on Bumble and Hinge, like I have for the past 6 months, you realize that the men out there, at least on these social or these dating networks, they're very either feminine, men or over masculine men. And there's no in between. So when I show up, not that I want to toot my own horn, but they say, you're normal, right? You have enough of a male energy, but you have a soft side. You respect women and you're not womanizing, right? There's a balance. And the 90% of the women who talk to me, they say, you're normal. Like, that is a compliment.
But then they don't know what to do with you.
They don't know what to do with me.
Right. They're like, because, and doesn't that describe our society so perfectly? Everyone's on one side or the other, politically, socially, energetically. And I think this encompasses people who aren't necessarily just straight either. Like, you get people on various poles of their energy, like males, like you said, who are extremely feminine, females who are extremely masculine, and everything in between. There's like very little gray area.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that right now, both men and women are falling into one camp. Do you say you tend to attract very masculine females or very feminine females, or also females who are like, don't know, they're in between?
I think because I am in the middle, I get both sides coming in at me.
Okay.
But one of the things that blows my mind is, as you said, they don't know what to do with me. If I was too masculine, let's have sex with him a few times and have fun. If I was the other way, well, God, he's marriage material and too boring. And I'm in the middle somewhere. And people who have broken up with me over, after dating them 2, 3, 4, 5 times, it's usually you're not either too masculine or you're not too passive. You're in the middle and you have a brain and you speak the truth and you have ideas and ideologies that are correct. But because our ex-husbands were on usually the hyper-masculine side, usually abusive, usually cheating on them, for some reason they're like, they can't believe that there's a normal person out there. And they throw me out with a baby. They throw me out with a bathwater.
You're the baby. Yeah.
Baby. And because they're like, well, we know this may happen in the future. And they say, even though you're normal, you're the type of person that meets all these criteria. And they send me their checklist because I show them my checklist. I have a checklist of 50, 60 things I show them.
Of what you're looking for.
Yeah. And they go down and they're like, well, I'm about 52 of the 60. Is that still okay with you? I'm like, yeah, fine. And then they tell me theirs. And if it's a list of 20, I'm all 20. But still they can't hang.
I think being in the gray area, a person who's not on either side, that's not really what women in the past have been trained to deal with. I think they're used to either being the subservient type who goes along with everything or having to completely run the show. So it actually puts a lot of onus back on the woman to say, okay, now who are you? Like, now you have to show me your identity, because if you're not an alpha or a beta male, then you're just a human being. And that means you have to relate to each other as two human beings.
Yeah.
And that's hard. Because now you can't just have fights and conflict about the difference between being a male and a female. You have to show up as two fully formed people with dreams, aspirations, ambitions, thoughts, philosophy, vision. Did I say vision twice?
No.
Seems like an important one. So in a way, not being to any extreme forces people to show up, I think, very in a real way with substance. And from all the stories you've shared, it seems like maybe a lot of these people aren't ready to show up that way yet. They still want to play the game, the polarity game. Like, I'm going to just rely on our differences or our chemical attraction to make something happen. And it's like, well, no, I want to rely on something more than that.
Yeah.
But who's ready for that?
One of the things before we leave.
Oh, are we running out of time?
Probably.
Yeah, we are.
Is that when the U.S. went to war with Afghanistan over 9/11, President Bush at that time said, you're either with us or you're against us, right? So you either have to agree wholeheartedly with us attacking a country that doesn't have any weapons of mass destruction and we're assuming we're whatever. Or if you disagree with our stance, then you're part of a terrorist organization. So I think ever since the early 2000s, I saw the polarity of different things. Like people start pulling apart. You're either Democrat, you got to be like hard left, or if you're Republican, you be hard right. And if you're in the middle, like people don't trust you. Like they're like, what's wrong with you?
You're like, you're nothing.
Why aren't you taking a side? And I feel the same thing when I'm on these dating websites. Why aren't you hyper alpha? Why aren't you hyper beta? Why are you normal? Like, and why are you here then? If you're normal, like, why aren't you hitched up already? So to me, it's a no-win situation. And it is what it is, but I feel bad for the people who I look at their list and I fit every description that they want, but they end up going back to where they were hurt.
Yeah.
Triple Shot Mindset.